When Trump won in 2016, it came on the heels of evidence that Russia had interfered in the election.
First, experts agree that there is overwhelming evidence that Russia interfered with the 2016 presidential election. Overwhelming.
The claims that Hillary's emails were hiding criminal activity, which Comey, no friend of Clinton, said was unequivocally false, and of course, the pussy tape.
I moved on her like a bitch.
Which proved to the world that Trump's character was non-existent. But none of that bothered these people.
The George Floyd thing, that was all set up too.
How was that set up?
That police officer didn't have his knee on the neck.
Jesus were a voter in Iowa. Who do you think you'd vote for in this next election?
I'm praying that Jesus would vote for Trump.
And I think January 6th was run by the FBI, CIA, DOJ. I watched a lot of stuff on this.
Wait a minute, why are you forcing your lifestyle over on me?
Who's forcing you to be gay?
Joe Biden and his crew.
Joe Biden's forcing you to be gay?
No, not forcing me. Make sure you get that right. I ain't gay and ain't got nothing to do with it, okay?
So now, 5 months after his disastrous encore, Trump's numbers are way down. And that deliverance base of slack-jawed rednecks are starting to ask questions like, why hasn't Trump ended the Russia-Ukraine war in one day? What are these tariffs really about? Why is Tucker Carlson and Dairy Queen pushing back so hard? And why are we going to war with Iran? I mean, they have to be asking themselves, what the hell's going on?
Did you ever think when you voted for President Trump that things were going to cost you more and you were going to lose money?
I never thought I was going to lose this much money, this fast.
But the biggest fallout is this big, beautiful bill alliteration nightmare. MAGA trusted tiny fingers, and then it all went to shit.
This provision was unknown to me when I voted for the bill.
Yeah, Dairy Queen didn't read it either. She came back a few days after voting for it and realized the language in the bill about AI could steal jobs from her constituents, and now she's crying the blues. She's also pushing back against the war with this freak, Tucker Carlson.
Further weakened by this, I think we're going to see the end of American empire, obviously. Other nations would like to see that, and this is a perfect way to scuttle the USS America on the shoals of Iran. But it's also going to end, I believe, Trump's presidency and effectively end it. And so that's why I'm saying this.
What do you mean by that? That's coming from you. That's
you get. Look, I knew Bush. I knew George W. Bush. We had, family connections to Bush. I knew Bush personally. I still see Bush sometimes, and of course, he hates me.
But here's the killer. 2016 midterms are 17 months away. But what that really means, the fight starts in about 7 months. And the numbers now are a nightmare for MAGA. Some estimates are saying Republicans could lose up to 50 seats in the House alone.
What the hell did you just say?
And that would effectively, as Tucker says, end Trump's reign as the world fuck-up.
All right, this morning, after weeks of back and forth, Senate Republicans have finally unveiled their proposed changes to President Trump's self-titled Big Beautiful Bill, including cuts to Medicaid and eliminating some clean energy tax credits. The announcement comes as a new KFF survey finds that Americans generally not so in favor of the bill, with nearly 2/3 of the American public expressing their disapproval. CNN's chief data analyst, Harry Enton, is with me now. So where is support for this mega bill?
I'm really surprised when I look at polling data. I look at it every day. But the amount of disapproval for this bill, holy cow, my goodness gracious. And, you mentioned the KFF poll. We're talking about 29 points underwater on the net favorable rating. But that matches the Quinnipiac University poll from last week when it was 26 points underwater. Oh, my God, you need Greg Louganis to get that far underwater. And, we're talking about a negative 41 net favorability rating among independents in the center of the electorate. You rarely ever see pieces of legislation or proposed pieces of legislation as unpopular as this. But here you see it in two polls, 26 points underwater and 29 points underwater. No good.
All right, what about the GOP? Because we have seen some pushback from some lawmakers, and we saw that, nuclear reaction from Elon Musk about this bill. What are you seeing there?
Yeah, there is a large chunk of the Republican Party that is not in favor of this bill. So this is the GOP with an unfavorable view of this bill. And what we see here is, look at this, 23% are opposed, have an unfavorable rating of the big, beautiful bill. Now, to put that in some perspective, Donald Trump's unfavorable rating with the GOP is 9%. So this is more than double All of a sudden, you're taking a huge chunk of that MAGA base, of that Republican base that is turned against this bill. It is not just Elon Musk. It is not just Ron Johnson, the Senate Republican from Wisconsin. It is a large chunk of the Republican base, as large, double the percentage that have an unfavorable view of Donald Trump, have an unfavorable view of the big, beautiful bill. And I will note that in the KFF poll, the unfavorable view, get this, 36%. You rarely ever see anything that Donald Trump backs get that high of an unfavorable view among Republicans, but here it is with the big, beautiful bill.
Yeah, and there's a very small margin there, so they're going to have to work out these details. Give us some comparison. 2017, we saw a bill that had Trump tax cuts in it. What does the support look like compared to that?
Yeah, you know, that wasn't that popular back in the day. It was a minus 17 net favorable rating. But here, what do we see with the big, beautiful bill on the aggregate? Minus 28 points. So this is far more unpopular than those tax cuts were back in 2017. And remember, Republicans lost the House in 2018. So if this is the big, beautiful bill, it may be a big, beautiful bill for Democrats if it passes, because they'll have a big, beautiful night come midterm night of 2026.
In my sad math, that is almost double.
Yes.
There. Almost.
It's not good. It's not good.
But here's the thing. MAGA won't die. In fact, the only thing that can kill MAGA is MAGA. And by kill, I mean understand that almost everything Democrats are proposing fiscally will improve their lives. And the social issues like LGBT and abortion are things that you got to tolerate. They've both been around since our country's inception. And immigrants are our future. And we all hate gangs. And the Democrats have to understand that 99% of gun owners in America commit zero crimes. That's the way it used to be. We could talk. There was no deep state bullshit or Democrats drinking babies' blood. And no one likes pedophiles.
Shows the future president welcoming Jeffrey Epstein to his Mar-a-Lago estate. The get-together more than a decade before Epstein pleaded guilty to prostitution charges in Florida. Both men are seen enjoying themselves, Trump pointing out women dancing in front of them.
And people like Trump or Democrats like Anthony Weiner have no place in politics. But first, Democrats need to find voices who can assuage the far left while bringing in the independent voter. And the 2026 midterms will be that test. And all of this needs to be done now. Waiting too long has killed the Democrats. Ginsburg should have left earlier. Garland should have prosecuted Trump immediately. And Biden, he should have stepped aside a year prior. But those are the lessons learned. Everyone has a voice and everyone should be heard. But the world is on fire and Trump has a blowtorch. This is Miles Taylor. He was chief of staff in the Department of Homeland Security when he wrote the September 2018 op-ed for the New York Times saying that he was part of the resistance to Trump, a group of senior officials concerned that the president was not fit to govern and dedicated to checking his wilder impulses. The piece was published under the byline of Anonymous. The publication stoked intense speculation as to who the writer was. Taylor finally identified himself shortly before the 2020 election and became a hate figure for Trump and his followers.
None of these graybeards in Washington, in that administration, or in the party were going to do it. And I grew very frustrated. And, internally, I was trying to foment something that would have been sort of a midnight self-massacre inside the Trump administration. I mean, we were trying to get a group of those like-minded cabinet members to resign en masse to prove a point. And it almost happened.
So here we are. Trump is flailing, and there cannot be any question as what needs to be done. Simply put, you take the hammer and you drive the nail.
Goddamn right.
Do you have no shame?
I don't want to talk about this stuff.
Am I wrong?
Yes!
Tick-tock!
You're in a lot of trouble, Donnie.
I think he's crazy.
I'm Chip Franklin.